Cupid, I muttered as the delicate chocolate wings broke apart in my hands. Damn you and your stupid arrow, too. The inflection of my voice rose as the three-dimensional chocolate Cupid, which I had attempted to embellish with wings, collapsed altogether beneath my firm grip. Oh, for the love of Eros! For a few seconds, I just stood there, dumbstruck, completely stunned that not only had I just destroyed Cupid, but that I had destroyed him yet again. I leaned my head back, looking up at the ceiling. Then I let out a long, long groan. The chocolate gods were punishing me, though how I had ever ended up on their bad side in the first place was anybody's guess. It was the third time that my endeavor to make a large, elegant, and whimsical Cupid sculpture out of marble chocolate had ended up in a pile of unrecognizable broken hunks and shards. That alone was frustrating, but what made it even worse was the fact that I couldn't afford such mishaps at this stage. The annual Valentine's Day Chocolate Championship Showdown, the first one that Christmas River had ever hosted, was in less than 4 days, and if things continued like they were, then I'd be going to the competition this year with nothing but melted chocolate all over my hands. I tossed the broken pieces down on the marble counter and stifled yet another frustrated sigh. Then I folded my arms and went over to the window in an effort to regain my cool. Outside, the light spilling from the kitchen cast ghostly, ominous shadows on the forest floor as the trees swayed in a stiff February wind. A light layer of frost was starting to form on the branches, and though it was cold outside, it wasn't anywhere near as cold as it could be this time of year. In fact, the past few weeks had been quite mild. Blue skies, temperatures in the high 50s during the day, and not a single snowflake. It had been unusual weather for February in Central Oregon. After a moment, I caught a glimpse of my own reflection in the window pane. My dark brown hair was tossed up high in a messy bun. My eyeliner had smeared, giving me a distinct raccoony look, and beneath my haphazardly tied apron, I had misaligned the buttons on my cardigan. I shook my head silently at myself. I looked like the very definition of a woman who was in over her head. Why had I thought the Chocolate Championship Showdown would be as easy as the gingerbread junction? Why had I thought that little old Cinnamon Peters, a self-taught baker with absolutely zero professional pastry training or expertise, could possibly compete with some of the best pastry chefs on the West Coast? Sure, when it came to cookie houses and marzipan and the occasional sugar sculpture, I could compete with the best of them. And not only that, but I could win in most cases. I had done just that at this past December's Gingerbread Junction, where, like most years, I'd crushed the competition. But building art pieces out of chocolate, now that was an entirely different beast altogether. Unlike hard sheets of cookie, chocolate was volatile, difficult to work with, and wholly unforgiving if the temperature was so much as half a degree off. In addition, the liquid stuff was messy, and it rebelled against the warm temperatures in my pie shop kitchen. And while I had heard warnings about working with chocolate before entering in this February's grandiose competition, I'd been foolish enough to think that it couldn't be any more difficult than working with cookie dough and frosting. Only now, mere days before the championship, did I realize how foolish and overambitious I had been. The last Gingerbread Junction win must have inflated my head to the size of a small planet for me to think that I'd be able to have a breath of a chance at competing in the Chocolate Championship Showdown. Miss Peters? Startled, I glanced over my shoulder to find that there were more than just regrets and feelings of stupidity here in the kitchen with me. A petite woman with a youthful face and eyes that were almost too big for it stood in the doorway separating the dining room from the kitchen. I shot a quick glance at the clock on the wall. It was 6:30, darker than a tar pit outside, and we'd sold out of every tin of apple whiskey, chocolate hazelnut, cranberry lime, lemon ginger, mocha chestnut, pumpkin ginger snap, hubba hubba hazelnut chocolate cherry, and moonshine bourbon pie in the house hours ago. The young woman shouldn't have been standing there, as the front door to the shop should have been locked when we'd closed.